The sky is home to creatures that amaze scientists and birdwatchers alike. Some birds have feathers that shimmer like jewels, while others survive in the most extreme environments on Earth. Some kill venomous snakes with their bare feet. Others have not flown in millions of years. And a few are so rare that every single individual is known to scientists by name. Today we are counting down 24 of the most extraordinary birds on the planet, starting with the ones that will genuinely change the way you think about what a bird can be. Number 24, Secretary Bird. The secretary bird looks like a dignified official of the savannah. Long legs, an upright posture, and black feathers on the back of its head that resemble old-fashioned quill pens once tucked behind a writer's ear. It stands about 4 feet tall with a wingspan close to 7 feet. But its hunting style is what truly sets it apart from every other bird of prey on the planet. Instead of diving from the sky like an eagle, the secretary bird simply walks through the grass and strikes its prey with its legs. The kicks are so fast and so powerful that they can kill even venomous snakes within seconds. The bird can deliver several precise blows in rapid succession, each one calculated and controlled. In the African savanna, it is a highly effective and extraordinarily elegant snake hunter, and there is no other bird on Earth that hunts quite the way it does. Number 23, Kakapo. If a parrot suddenly decided to live like an owl and forgot how to fly almost entirely, you would get the Kakapo. Enormous by parrot standards, nearly 2 feet long and weighing up to 9 pounds, its feathers are soft, green, and dotted with black speckles, perfect camouflage among the mosses of New Zealand. But appearance is only half the story. The Kakapo is nocturnal, walks through the forest instead of flying, and climbs trees like a fluffy mountaineer. Males hold real acoustic concerts. Deep bass booms that can travel up to 3 miles, sounding like a distant drum echoing through the forest at night. The problem is that the bird is trusting and slow, and when predators arrived in New Zealand those traits nearly destroyed the species entirely. Today the Kakapo is one of the rarest birds on Earth, and every single individual is literally known to scientists by name. Each one is monitored, tracked, and cared for as part of one of the most intensive conservation programs ever undertaken for a single species. Number 22, African Ostrich. The African ostrich is the ultimate record holder among birds. It can grow nearly 9 feet tall and weigh over 300 pounds, but its speed is just as impressive, reaching up to 45 miles per hour. For comparison, that is faster than many horses over short distances. Its enormous eyes, almost 2 inches in diameter, give the bird exceptional vision across the open savannas, allowing it to detect predators at extraordinary distances. The wings do not lift the ostrich into the air, but they help maintain balance while running and are used in elaborate courtship displays. Males spread their black and white feathers and perform a dramatic display for the females that looks almost choreographed. And of course the eggs are extraordinary as well. They are the largest of any living bird, about 6 inches long and weighing more than 3 pounds. A single ostrich egg contains the equivalent of roughly 2 dozen chicken eggs, and its shell is strong enough to support the weight of a full-grown adult human. Number 21, Barn Owl. The barn owl looks as if someone carved its face from porcelain. The heart-shaped disc around its eyes acts like a perfect acoustic radar. Thanks to this shape, sound literally slides along the feathers straight into its ears, allowing the bird to hear a mouse beneath layers of grass or snow with a precision that no other predator on Earth can match. Its wingspan is about 3.5 feet, yet its flight is almost completely silent. The feathers along its wings have a special fringe that dampens the sound of air moving across them. In the darkness, the barn owl appears suddenly like a shadow. Its white belly flashes in the moonlight, making it seem as if a ghost just flew past, which is exactly why in old European legends it was considered a mystical bird connected to the world of the dead. But behind all that mystery is a remarkably efficient hunter. In a single night, a barn owl can catch more than a dozen rodents, making it one of the most effective natural pest controllers on the planet. Number 20, Kea. The high country of New Zealand is a place where only the stubborn survive. But the Kea went further. It did not just adapt. It began experimenting with the world around it. This olive-green parrot with the bright orange underside of its wings is widely recognized as one of the smartest birds alive. It opens latches, pulls whether stripping from cars, tears into backpacks, not from hunger, but from curiosity. Its diet is omnivorous, from berries and insects to carrion, and at times it will even damage sheep to get at the fat beneath the skin, an astonishing behavior for a parrot. Kia live in social groups where the young learn by watching older birds, almost as if picking up tricks of the trade. They adapt easily to humans but never submit to them, always keeping their independence intact. Their games are not just play. They are intelligence in action, and training for the unpredictable mountain environment they call home. Number 19, Frigate Bird. The frigate bird is a true master of the air. With a wingspan of nearly 7.5 feet and an incredibly light body, it can glide over the ocean for hours with barely a single wing beat. But the real spectacle begins during breeding season. Males inflate a bright red throat pouch, turning themselves into living balloons that can be seen from extraordinary distances. They sit on mangrove branches and shake their heads to display this scarlet sail while females fly overhead carefully judging the candidates below. Frigate birds are also known for their cunning and their complete lack of interest in doing things the honest way. They sometimes chase other seabirds until the victim drops its catch, then the frigate bird snatches it in midair with effortless precision. True aerial pirates of the tropical seas, and entirely unrepentant about it. Number 18, Marvelous Spatuletail. The marvelous spatuletail is proof that evolution can work not only for survival, but for pure spectacle. The male of this hummingbird has a tail unlike anything else in the bird world. Two extremely thin feathers ending in round spatulas that are separate from the rest of the tail and move completely independently. In flight he actively spins them, creating a visual signal for females that is impossible to ignore. This is not just ornament. It is a precision tool of selection where exactness matters more than force. The bird lives only in limited parts of Peru, which makes it especially vulnerable to habitat change. Despite its tiny size, it shows aggressive behavior, defending its territory from other hummingbirds with a ferocity that seems completely disproportionate to its weight. What makes it especially remarkable is that these tail structures offer no practical benefit in feeding whatsoever, yet they remain because natural selection through female choice has kept them across millions of years of evolution. Number 17, King Eider. If an icy wind could take the form of a bird, it would look like the king eider. The male is a true kaleidoscope. Soft blue tones on the head, an orange shield at the base of the bill, and a black and white body like a strict formal suit with one completely unexpected flourish of color. These ducks live in Arctic conditions where a single mistake costs a life, yet they look as if the cold were merely part of the background scenery. They dive deep for mollusks and crustaceans, relying on strength and endurance rather than speed. The females, far less conspicuous, blend perfectly into rock and tundra while protecting the clutch from predators. The down of these birds is one of the warmest natural materials on Earth and has been used by humans for centuries in clothing and bedding. But the bird itself is more than a source of resources. It is an example of how evolution can unite extraordinary beauty with absolute practicality in a single living creature. Number 16, Ribbon-tailed Drongo. The tail of this bird seems like something from a fantasy world. In the male ribbon-tailed drongo, two long white tail streamers can reach nearly 3 feet in length, several times longer than the bird's own body. In flight they flow behind it like delicate silk ribbons trailing through the air. The body itself is dark with a metallic green sheen on the head that catches the light as the bird moves. The bird's body length is about 13 inches, but thanks to the extraordinary tail it appears almost weightless as it moves through the canopy. It lives in the cool mountain forests of New Guinea, moving between branches with a grace that seems impossible given the length of what it carries behind it. When the male moves through the forest, the tail gently sways, and for a moment it feels as if a small comet just passed silently through the trees. Number 15, Fiery-throated Hummingbird. At a certain point it stops looking like a bird and starts looking like a flash of living light. The fiery-throated hummingbird shimmers as if its throat were actually on fire, shifting from vivid orange to green and blue depending on the angle of the light striking its feathers. This is not just coloration. It is the effect of the feather structure itself, which refracts light the way a prism does, producing colors that seem to change as the bird moves. It lives in the highlands of Central America where the air is thin and the conditions are harsh. But none of that stops it from moving at incredible speed, hovering at flowers and drawing nectar with surgical precision. Its metabolism runs almost at the edge of what seems biologically possible, its heart beating at a furious pace that would be fatal for almost any other creature. At night it can slow everything down dramatically in order to survive the cold, entering a state of torpor that drops its body temperature and heart rate to a fraction of their daytime levels. Number 14. Cock of the Rock. When male cocks of the rock gather together, the forest suddenly bursts with vivid orange color. The bird itself is fairly small, about 12 inches long, but incredibly striking. Its plumage is a vivid orange. The wings are contrasting black, and on its head sits a large semicircular crest that looks like a smooth polished helmet covering almost the entire face. Males gather at communal display grounds called leks. There, dozens of birds jump, bow, spread their wings, and make sharp clicking sounds in a coordinated display of competitive performance that has no parallel among South American birds. Females watch the spectacle from above and choose the most impressive performer with a selectivity that has driven the evolution of these extraordinary colors and structures over millions of generations. Number 13. Great Blue Turco. The tropical forests of West Africa are home to one of the largest turcos, a bird whose rich blue color feels almost unreal under the forest canopy. That shade comes from a unique pigment called tyrosine, found only in this group of birds and in no other living creature on Earth. Its large yellow bill serves not only for feeding but also as a powerful visual signal among individuals. Despite its size, it moves through the branches with ease, preferring to hop rather than fly. Its diet is made up of fruit, leaves, and flowers, which means it actively helps spread plant life across the forest. The sounds it makes are deep and drawn out, filling the forest around it with a resonance that seems too large for the animal producing it. It does not build elaborate nests, settling for a simple platform of twigs that seems entirely inadequate for a bird of its presence. There is no haste in the way it behaves. It conserves energy and acts precisely, and in that combination of color, mass, and calm, there is a feeling of permanence, as if the bird were built into the forest itself. Number 12. Luzon Bleeding Heart. The Luzon bleeding heart is a rare case in which appearance becomes the main signal. The bright red patch on its chest looks startlingly like an open wound, but do not be alarmed too quickly. In reality, it is part of the plumage, playing a role in communication and recognition between individuals. The bird lives a secretive life in the forests of the Philippines, preferring to stay on the ground where it searches for seeds and insects with careful, deliberate movements. It is cautious, quick to react to danger, and far more likely to run than fly when threatened. Its voice is quiet, almost unnoticeable, which helps it avoid drawing attention to itself in a forest filled with predators. The main problem it faces is habitat loss, which makes the species increasingly vulnerable with each passing decade. This is a bird that does not fight for attention. It survives by means of caution and precision. And that is exactly what makes its continued existence so fragile and so worth protecting. Number 11. Maleo. Some birds build nests. And then there is the maleo, which puts its faith in geology. This bird of Indonesia lays its eggs in hot sand or volcanic soil, using the Earth's own heat instead of its own body to incubate them. Its eggs are enormous, up to 5 times the size of a chicken's egg relative to the bird's own size, which is an extraordinary biological investment. The chicks hatch fully independent. They do not need to learn how to fly. They can do it almost immediately after breaking out of the shell and digging their way to the surface through the warm sand. In appearance, the maleo is unusual. A black body, pale belly, and a distinctive helmet on its head that gives it an immediately recognizable silhouette. Its breeding strategy represents a true breakthrough in avian evolution. Minimal parental care, maximum adaptation to the environment. This is not just a bird. It is an example of how completely a familiar survival model can be rewritten by the pressures of natural selection. Number 10. Nicobar Pigeon. Forget everything you know about city pigeons. The Nicobar pigeon looks like a piece of living jewelry that somehow learned to walk. Its feathers shimmer like metal, emerald green, copper, and purple all at once, shifting as the light catches them from different angles. Long feathers on its neck fall like a shining mantle, while the tail is unexpectedly short and snow-white, creating a contrast that looks almost deliberately designed. The bird lives on islands in the Indian Ocean and prefers quiet mangrove forests far from human disturbance. It is about 16 inches long, but appears much larger thanks to its extraordinarily luxurious plumage. And there is one fact about this bird that places it in a category entirely of its own. This species is considered the closest living relative of the extinct dodo, making it a living connection to one of the most famous vanished creatures in natural history. Number 9. Violet Saberwing. The violet saberwing stands out among hummingbirds for its size and its power. It is one of the largest members of the entire hummingbird family, reaching about 6 inches in length, which makes it noticeably bigger than most of its relatives. Its plumage carries a deep violet tone with a metallic sheen that shifts with the light in a way that seems almost impossible for a living feather to produce. Unlike many hummingbirds that are limited to short rapid dashes between flowers, the violet saberwing is capable of steadier and more controlled flight that gives it a presence in the air that smaller species simply cannot match. It lives in Central America, favoring humid forests where it feeds not only on nectar but also on insects, giving it an added source of protein that supports its larger body. And it often dominates other hummingbirds at feeding spots, driving them away with a confidence that reflects its position as the heavyweight of its family. Number 8. Helmeted Guineafowl. The African savanna is open, dangerous ground, and the helmeted guineafowl answers that challenge with pure discipline. Its dark body is covered in evenly spaced white spots that create a blurred optical effect at a distance, making it difficult for predators to focus on any individual bird in a moving flock. The bony helmet on its head gives it an instantly recognizable silhouette unlike any other bird in its environment. It relies on flight only reluctantly, preferring fast running and abrupt directional changes that can confuse pursuing predators. It lives in flocks where constant communication is the key to survival. The slightest threat can trigger a chain reaction of alarm signals that ripples through the entire group in seconds. It feeds on seeds, insects, and small invertebrates, acting as a kind of natural sanitation crew for the savanna. And its voice is loud, harsh, and often genuinely annoying, but it is exactly the thing that saves the whole group's life when danger approaches. Number 7. Curl-crested aracari. The curl-crested aracari is marked by an unusual structure in the feathers on its head. They are curled, creating the effect of a shaggy and somewhat chaotic hairstyle that has no obvious practical function but plays a clear role in visual recognition within the species. The bird belongs to the toucan family and lives in the Amazon basin where it moves through the canopy in search of fruit, insects, and small vertebrates. Aracaris are social birds and often gather in groups, sharing tree cavities for roosting, which requires a certain level of behavioral coordination and mutual tolerance that is not common among birds of this size. Their bill, like that of other toucans, is remarkably light and functional despite its impressive appearance, used for grasping and handling food with surprising delicacy. And despite the bird's outward appearance of cheerful messiness, its behavior is organized, well adapted, and precisely calibrated to the demands of its environment. Number 6. Cabot's tragopan. Cabot's tragopan lives in the subtropical forests of southeastern China where it favors dense undergrowth and avoids open spaces with a caution that borders on the obsessive. Its diet includes leaves, seeds, berries, and insects, and it feeds mainly in the morning and evening to reduce the risk of encountering predators during the most active hours of the day. The male uses a bright blue throat pouch as a visual signal during courtship, unfolding it in a strict sequence of movements that is not chaotic or improvised but a clearly structured ritual that has been refined by generations of selection. Their nests are placed in trees, a rarity among pheasants, which lowers the danger from ground predators significantly. When threatened, it would rather vanish quickly into thick vegetation than take flight, using its coloration as camouflage with a patience that reflects a deep evolutionary understanding of when to move and when to disappear. Number 5. Kiwi. Among birds, the kiwi seems like a quiet mystery. A small round body, soft brown feathers that look more like fur than plumage, and a long slender bill almost 4 inches long with one extraordinary detail at its very tip. The nostrils are located right there at the end of the bill, which means the kiwi literally sniffs the ground while searching for worms and insects, using smell rather than sight to locate its food, which is almost unheard of among birds. This nocturnal bird lives in the forests of New Zealand and almost never flies. Its wings are so tiny they are barely visible beneath the feathers. Yet the kiwi has another remarkable trait that sets it apart from almost every other bird on Earth. The egg laid by the female is incredibly large, sometimes reaching nearly 20% of the bird's total body weight. That would be like a human giving birth to a child that weighed almost 40 pounds. Number 4. White-headed duck. With its bright white head, vivid blue bill, and compact body, the white-headed duck looks like a character that has absolutely no intention of blending into the background. The males are especially striking during the breeding season when the colors become more vivid and the contrast between the white head and the bluebill becomes almost startlingly bright. But its tail is even more interesting than its face. Stiff and often held upright at a distinctive angle, it works as a kind of rudder and stabilizer in the water, giving the duck an unmistakable silhouette that can be identified from a considerable distance. These ducks prefer diving to flying, searching for food at depth with quick and precise underwater movements that look effortless from the surface. On the surface they seem almost motionless, but that impression is deeply deceptive. They live in freshwater habitats across Eurasia and North Africa, choosing places with dense vegetation, and their behavior is calm but precise in a way that suggests complete confidence in their environment. Number 3. Greater Adjutant. If you imagine a bird that has decided to ignore every standard of beauty, you get something like the greater adjutant. Huge, with a massive beak and an almost completely bald head, it looks as though it stepped out of a post-apocalyptic landscape where the normal rules of appearance no longer apply. But behind the deeply unphotogenic exterior is a crucial ecological role. The greater adjutant is a cleanup specialist, processing waste, carrion, and everything else that other animals avoid with a thoroughness that the ecosystem genuinely depends on. Its throat pouch hangs like a strange inflatable accessory and its gait is slow and measured, as if it knows that without its particular contribution the entire system would begin to fall apart. It lives close to people, on dumps, and in cities, and that creates a strange and uncomfortable paradox. We produce the chaos and it clears it away. Not a hero, not beautiful. But without it, the system fails. Sometimes it matters more to be necessary than to be liked. Number 2. Horned Parakeet. If a parrot ever decided to add a little edge to its appearance, it would probably end up looking like this. The horned parakeet of New Caledonia wears 2 curved feathers on its head that look like neat and precisely placed little horns. Those bright red accents against its green body make it instantly recognizable from any angle, but its habits are just as interesting as its appearance. It prefers to stay high in the treetops, moving skillfully through the canopy in search of fruit, seeds, and insects with a calm confidence that is unusual among parrots. Its movements are measured but assured, with no unnecessary fuss or wasted energy. Its voice is soft and not especially loud, which is genuinely rare among parrots and gives it a quality of quiet self-possession that most members of its family conspicuously lack. These birds form stable pairs and show clear attachment to one another that persists across seasons. Their home is the humid forest of New Caledonia where every element of the ecosystem matters, and the horned parakeet fits into that system with a precision that makes its exotic appearance seem entirely appropriate. Number 1. Great Bustard. When a bird reaches a weight comparable to a small suitcase, the obvious question is how does it even get off the ground? The great bustard answers that question without saying a word, lifting slowly and heavily but with complete and unhurried confidence into the air. It is one of the heaviest flying birds in the world, living across the steppes of Eurasia in landscapes that are as open and as unforgiving as anything on Earth. Its coloring is restrained, sandy brown, and perfectly suited for disappearing into grass when it needs to. But during the breeding season the males become something entirely different. They buff up their feathers, twist their wings outward, and turn almost completely spherical as they display for females in one of the most visually dramatic courtship performances in the avian world. It looks strange and genuinely impressive at the same time. Their diet is varied, ranging from plants to insects to small vertebrates, which makes them remarkably flexible in changing environmental conditions. They walk far more than they fly, conserving energy with a patience and an exactness that reflects a deep evolutionary understanding of how to survive in a landscape that offers very little margin for error. And that wraps up our countdown of 24 of the most extraordinary birds on the planet. From a parrot that has forgotten how to fly, to an owl that can hear a mouse beneath a foot of snow, to a bird that kicks venomous snakes to death and looks like a government official while doing it. The natural world has been building these creatures for hundreds of millions of years, and the results are more extraordinary than anything we could have designed. If you enjoyed this video, drop a comment below and tell us which bird surprised you the most. Subscribe so you never miss what we find next.